This duo snuck themselves into that first place spot in this last match here. You can see how well they were playing together, even in situations where they don't have materials to work with. You can see that the chemistry is there as they continue rotating together and playing as a duo. It's what you love to see.
I think there's not many more things in compared to FortNite that are more satisfying than watching a duo just in flow state backside of the zone in an endgame, right? Where all you have to do is instinctively react to what's going on around you. 180, big shot, turn around, another big shot, look left, right again, big shot. Like when their team's doing that, you just know they're on a whole different level, and I think that's what we've seen from Kaizen and Clement today. Very impressive. I think, you know, at times we've seen things not go their way, but to see them now, you know, sort of sitting on top of the leaderboards there, I'm sure they'll be well chuffed with that.
Levin, can you just say big shot one more time?
Big shot. You know what I'm saying? Little 180 flick, bam, big shot. Nice.
I could listen to you say that all night. Let's take a look at Howley. We've been seeing this man's face on cam a lot over this process, and that is because himself and his duo, Takata, have been performing beautifully.
Oh yeah, we can see Howley and his duo partner, how they ended up here, actually staying in the top half of the leaderboard throughout these recent matches, from the big solo clutch by Howley that fueled him and his duo for the upcoming matches where they have been annihilating domination for this team, and nothing less in this last match.
Yeah, I became a fan of Howley, you know, back when he was playing with Veltenzi, and they showed us glimpses of the talent there. But, you know, playing now with Nafrizi, I think we're seeing a different side to him where, like you're saying, Takata, he's almost turned into a bit of a clutch meister, right? You know, you can always rely on him even when he's left as a solo, and that's super impressive by his regard.
Get clutch meister in the dictionary, please. Let's take a look. As you can see, 11th to 20th now. Look, we need to talk about Pablo, you know, Bevies. You wanted to talk about them, and here they are, 23 points up. Levin, these guys are going to look to keep climbing.
Yeah, finally, right? You know, finally we get to see these guys activating one of these games. I mean, you know, they came second place there, and I think everybody sort of expected them to come into today and roll through. You know, if you were watching at the start of the day, I literally said, I think they will just run away with the competition, which hasn't quite happened. But in this game, they showed us what exactly they can do. A bunch of elims, even when they were in situations that weren't the easiest to deal with, I think they made things work. And if they can continue to play like this, they will quickly shoot up into the top 9.
Look, they were sleeping a little bit at the start of the day, but it's time to wake up, all right? Pablo Bevies from the second place. I'm sure that in these next matches, they can keep that momentum forwards. But also, Janice Reason, 11th place, up 13 placements on the leaderboard from that previous match. They had a little bit of hustles in the early game, hassles that they had to overcome. But now, with a clean end game, they're pushed right back up on the borderline, almost in qualifying range for globals. So hopefully once they get a bit more of a maybe pop-off game, they can push themselves into that qualifying range.
Yeah, I mean, Levin, you talked about this duo as well as a duo you expect to see roll through, and Janice and Reason are sneaking on up there.
Yeah, man, the big Z. I want to see the big Z at globals. Like, Janice and Reason, you look at EU competitive FortNite history. I'm a bit of a history nerd, right? And I look through all of the best moments in our scene, and Janice and Reason are a part of them in some capacity, right? And so to see them at globals, I think would be very fitting to do in these next couple games, and I think we are starting to see them get a better grip on the game. In typical fashion, I'll say that now and they'll just go down off spawn, but hopefully, you know, we can start to see them at least get into that bit of a rhythm.
Yeah, you can see there as well that the threshold, the sort of area that you want to be looking for is around the 146 points if you want to make it up into those top 9 spots, which, remember, those are reserved for the last EU teams to make it to global championships. There's still a lot of room for movement here, Takata, with just 2 games to go.
Yeah, 146 now, but that's going to change drastically as the games continue. So you can't fall asleep. If you're awake now, like Pablo and Bevies just woke up, you need to stay awake. You need to keep pushing forwards because these last matches are some of the most difficult.
This is where the pressure really hits, though, Levin. I know we keep talking about it. It's an obvious thing to mention, right? But if you're not in the mix right now, you're going into this, you're looking at your duo partner and you're going, we need to switch things up pretty quickly here, otherwise we're going to miss the boat.
Yeah, but Ian, what does pressure make? what does pressure make,
Ian?
What does pressure make?
Hey, we're not going there again, all right? We've been there and
It
done
makes
that.
diamonds. Diamonds.
Are you sure?
Diamonds.
Nothing else.
You know.
Diamonds.
It's
It
an
makes
easy
diamonds.
It's an easy one to forget. All right, listen, let's get right back into the action. It is game number 6. No, game number 5. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to our casters, Taka and Shia.
Thanks so much, Ian. I mean, after game number 5, we will have game number 6. And it seems as though the pressure has really started to build up. But these guys talking about diamond, Shia. I'm looking for some of the diamonds in the rough. I'm waiting for some of these duos that we've seen glimpses from really amp it up here in our final 2 games.
Definitely. I mean, I'm looking for the top 3 as well to just stay exactly where they are. Very good teams that could push forward all the way towards globals. Right now, still a chance as to how that top 9 looks to just clinch a spot towards that championship. It's so exciting in EU.
Yeah, but you have to imagine that for a lot of these teams, they know game number 5, it's here, it's ready, the bus is loaded up, and these teams are ready to drop in.
Let's jump straight into it then. 2 more chances for all these teams to solidify and make a mark in history inside the Global Championships this year. All about getting past this stage inside the Last Chance Major. We've seen lots of off-spawn fights not really change as much on the majority of the map, and it looks like in this game they will continue.
And I'm just gonna say it too, man, because for all our teams that are already qualified towards that global championship, if you are watching this at home, you've just got to be feeling so much relief, because this is an insane situation that a lot of these teams have found themselves positioned in right here. And Giannis Reason, very similar to what we saw in the last game. Giannis gets a flapjack rifle in hand, looking to try and take down Slox if he can, or Citra, but shots just barely not going to be enough here for that knock to go through.
Das bockt schon wieder gar nicht, dieser Notenscheiß hier, Digga.
But still, they know it's only a matter of time before Giannis and Reason actually look to collapse them.
And Giannis Reason have no problems whatsoever collapsing on anyone that ends up rolling in. Herb also low HP. This guy's had a quick fight over at Kenjutsu. Started things off. Scoop inside, just trying to live his own merry life, but not today. Curb trading a little bit of damage for both those Elands to come through for the boys. Past that, Evi's Papa Wingu, a little bit of trouble inside Spire Dice. Lays and an Astral are on them again, and this time it's not inside the mid game. Papa Wingu tripped up. And after that, Bevy's left on his alone sum. He was going to be able to come back and possibly get that card, go for the reboot way later on in the game, but it does throw a wrench into their surge plans and a lot of their loot, as Lysen and Astral will have claims to all of it now.
That just looks like the last thing that Pablo and Bevies were expecting, but Bevies, he will wind up falling as well to the likes of Moneymaker and Giannis here. All the meanwhile, north side of the map, it's going to be a quick elimination finish onto Citra. So Giannis and Reason, seems as though that mentality to just take the initiative, to just choke out that other team that's been challenging them on that north side of the map for the loot. Can it bode well for them like it did in the last game? Only time will tell, but for right now, definitely a strong start so far for that team.
Looking good to keep climbing. Meanwhile, the peak looks like Kaizen and Clement looks like the POV you're watching right now over at Brutal Bastion. And it's looking good. I mean, they have a little bit of a sizable separation from first place. 14-ish points, looking good. And then when it comes to that second place team, Savage and Vidil want to catch up as fast as possible. Elims will be the difference maker. Staying alive will be the difference maker as well. I just want to see what this team now looks like after a good performance in stakes within the lobby that matter as to where you go next. Not like it's a round 2. It's not like we're just working towards the finals. This is for a chance to get all the way to globals, and they're in that driver's seat to qualify. So we'll see what they can do. Meanwhile, Brad is playing here with Riz. Once again, we've seen this fight happen so much. As Perchawa on the back end of it this time, and he's going to be just absolutely ripped apart. After that, there's not much you can do, especially if your teammate's so far away on a split.
Perchawa, though, nearly getting the better end of Rad, if he wasn't careful there. Granted, that rate of fire from the Flapjack rifle will carry Rad into the victory finish, but still have to be cautious, knowing that Perchala's duo is going to be looking to collect that reboot card and match at some point. Still early on enough that if any of these duos have dropped to solos from some of these early engagements, they could look for that reboot opportunity, even if it's not necessarily a position they want to be in. Nebs and Hellfire, on the other hand, here at the Creaky Compound, gotta be feeling pretty good. I mean, decent loot to start, decent amount of mats as well, and seems as though their focus now lies on just trying to collect as much as they can from the jungle biome, and then maybe look to pressure another team, such as the pressure right now that Kaizen and Clement are putting here on the north side of Slappy Shores.
A lot of these teams have some trouble off spawn, and if not, just issues at navigating some of these end zones. Clement and Kaizen have done a really good job at solving the problems for both, hence why they're at first place overall. I'm liking their back and forth type of get a little bit of damage on, make a few boxes, back up, farm, and then do it again, rather than just stay in the boxes, farm around, and stay in the same position. This way, you can keep moving around Slappy Shores, get a lot more control over the builds that are prevalent across the entire POI, and they're never really in one spot to get third party or shot for free, so that's big. And in terms of qualifying to be at game 5 in first place, it's just a really good feeling for the duo. Meanwhile, FortNite and Moneymaker playing very similarly to these guys, looking for just good positions overall game after game, and just IGLing their way to really good spots inside some of the hardest circles we've seen. They're also in 4th place coming into this 5th game, and with his big cone base looking really good every single time, getting as much surge as possible.
Seems as though maybe the Swede strategies are coming in strong with that quick stat. Most players already qualified for the Global Championship, having 4. Cute little fun fact. Definitely a neat way to rep where you're from. But right now, Vortex and Belusi having spotted out the other team over at the north side of Slappy Shores. I think Vortex is just trying to prioritize, seeing if he can get any sort of damage. Will connect with a small shot, only 31. That's not to say that he couldn't look to keep it going. He's just trying to be cautious about how he chooses to peek here. Doesn't want to over peek by any means and then find himself eating damage from elsewhere.
Gotta be careful, can't make a mistake. Just the second zone for this one. Refs Guard Tripper have almost everything they need to just keep it moving. Metal almost max, it's always fun to see. Reconnects, and they'll be able to get wood as they move. 2 more games for these guys over at 16th place. I mean, the biggest thing they need is just a nice game plan on how to handle some of these more tougher zones. And if you look at the problem with it, it's just, you know, it boils down to how they're getting surge, which fights they're really sticking for. I know you got slurps. You're staying inside circle to go for as many fights as possible, but that's kind of making you lose out on position. That's kind of been the story since finals for these guys. So it'll be cool to see the switch up. AGR, Pink Sun, and Tibby. Been fun to see them in a lot of different fights, but they've had the short end of the stick in a majority of them.
Some of these shots, though, that are happening onto a couple of these players and teams overall, I mean, refs even, that damage that he just ate, just talk about threading the needle, really. Just so much precision that could be found from teams with those MK assault rifles and the Mammoth pistols. Just doesn't ever really seem as though you're safe with your current positioning. And I think that's part of the reason why we see so many teams often opting to move through this jungle biome, take advantage of some of the mud there that's available, just to get a little bit quicker on their feet here. As now Steno quickly snap back to reality. Can't be bouncing around those mushrooms for too long, for somebody else is gonna spot you out. Make sure to put quick work into your shields, if not HP bar altogether. Some builds having to be expended, but Steno and Lush do manage to make it to the cash in time.
Important to see who controls that. Both these teams need it. We know that Rescue and Tripper can fight for it. This is actually a fight they definitely want, because a lot of the surge tags and damage comes from situations like these. I want this to be a long one to damage back and forth. Hopefully get up to